Unlike a lot of people on YouTube, I have always tried to take on board requests for new videos in the comments from subscribers. When I first started the channel, and only had a few thousand subscribers, I would attempt to make literally every single request that anyone left in the comments. It is for that reason that HITC Sevens was crowned, by you, not me I should add, as the People's Channel, like my own little Soviet Republic. Just, without the gulags and famines. Well, for now at least. As the channel has grown to over 500,000 subscribers, or 500,000 adoring fans as I prefer to see it, that is no longer possible. But I still try to read as many comments as I possibly can, taking on board suggestions if they are clearly popular and get a lot of likes, or are regularly requested by a significant number of people. In short, HITC Sevens is still the People's Channel. There are some video requests, however, that don't receive quite so many likes and are only requested by one person. In those instances, unless the topic is of particular interest to me and I do it purely as a result of my own curiosity, I tend to have to leave them. One such suggestion is this one, Indonesia 11 if all eligible players had declared for them, which has now been suggested over 400 times, over more than 400 days, solely by long-term subscriber Arzia Aziz. Arzia has left the same comment on every single one of my videos since my Martinique 11 if all eligible players had declared for them video, which I uploaded in May of 2021, approaching 2 whole years ago. The reason I didn't make the video at the time, well, aside from Arzi's suggestion only getting 4 likes initially, was because when I drafted the team, well, in short, unlike my What If Jamaica or Nigeria teams for example, it wasn't all that good. I have since developed a fascination with Indonesia though, which is the 4th largest country on earth by population, but about which so many people, present company included until very recently, know so little about. So, Arzi, before you lose the will to live and I reach 2 whole years of having ignored you, this one's for you, and indeed, for the 1.5% of my audience that is based in Indonesia. For the uninitiated, Indonesia is the most populous nation in the world, in which football is the most popular sport. Yet their only appearance at a World Cup came in 1938, as the Dutch East Indies, while still a Dutch colony, where they were thrashed 6-0 by Hungary in their only game. For the past 30 years, Indonesian football has been marred by corruption, match fixing, and violence, becoming the world's deadliest and most dangerous country in which to be a football fan. To understand why that is the case, feel free to check out my recent documentary about football in Indonesia, in which I inadvertently ended up exploring the last century of Indonesian history, both within and outside of the game, but today's video is a little bit more light-hearted. If you've never seen any of the previous videos in this extensive series, basically I take a pool of all of the players who could, theoretically, ever have represented a country, in this case Indonesia, and then attempt to come up with the strongest possible starting 11 based upon those players' current abilities. Without further ado then, who could have played for Ghana as well as the United States but never Indonesia, here is my What If Indonesia 11 if all eligible players had declared for them. Goalkeeper, Emil Udeiro. One of the strongest players in this entire 11, Sampdoria number 1 Emil Udeiro was born in the city of Mataram, less than 30 miles from Bali, in the Indonesian province of West Nusa Tenggara, to an Indonesian father and an Italian mother. Very modern, just like me, Emil took both of his parents' surnames, full name Emilio Udeiro Mulyadi, Udeiro from his mother, and Mulyadi from his father. But for some reason, he is only ever referred to as Emil Udeiro. Taking the name of a female ancestor, typically the mother, rather than a male one, which is known as a matronymic, is a fairly common occurrence amongst some Indonesian ethnic groups, so perhaps that is the reason why. Or maybe he just prefers Udeiro, or perhaps the Italian press just deemed Emilio Udeiro Mulyadi to be too much of a mouthful. Look, You'll just have to ask him, alright? But those are my top 3 theories. Udeiro's family relocated to his mother's hometown of Cumana in Turin when he was just 1 year old, and at the age of 11, he was signed by Juventus. Spotted by former Juve keeper turned goalkeeping coach Michelangelo Rampula, Udeiro went on to earn a professional contract at the Allianz Stadium, and even registered a Serie A appearance in the final game of the 2016-17 season under Massimiliano Allegri. In 2018, following a season on loan at Venezia, Udeiro joined Sampdoria on loan with a view to a permanent, which was activated in 2019 for a fee of €20 million. A regular for Italy at every single youth level from the under-15s to the under-21s, but not yet having been capped by the senior team, Udeiro has played 143 games for Sampdoria, who are currently bottom of the Serie A table, though through no fault of his own. Tall, agile, and uber-professional, Udeiro turned down a move to Nottingham Forest in January, reportedly on the grounds that his work at Sampdoria wasn't yet done, and he waltzes straight into this starting 11 as one of its star men. Centre-back, Mark van der Marel. I am playing a slightly unorthodox back 3 in a sort of 3-2-1-2-1-1 formation, in a desperate bid to try and get all of the best theoretical Indonesian internationals into my 11, and as I utter those words, it does occur to me quite how preposterous what I do for a living really is. And the first member of my back 3 is Mark van der Marel. Given that the Dutch Empire ruled over Indonesia for almost 350 years, firstly through the Dutch East India Company, and then by establishing a formal colony known as the Dutch East Indies, it makes sense that there should be a fair amount of Dutch influence upon this 11. Mark van der Marel was born in the Dutch city of Arnhem to a Dutch father, but his mother is Indonesian. That would qualify van der Marel to represent Indonesia, were Indonesia not one of a number of countries which doesn't allow adults to hold dual citizenship, making it much harder for prospective players to ever represent them, unlike a lot of the other national teams that I've covered in this series, which do have plenty of foreign-born internationals. Van der Marel is an incredibly versatile defender, primarily a right-back but also capable of playing at centre-back, left-back, or even as a wing-back, making him a perfect candidate for my back 3. Another fantastic professional, renowned for his impressive work rate, Van der Marel is a vastly experienced one-club man who has racked up 369 appearances for Utrecht to date, putting him 3rd in their all-time appearance chart at the age of 33. Centre-back, Jordi Amat. A more familiar face to followers of the Premier League, many of you will recall Jordi Amat from his 5-year spell at Swansea City, one of which he spent on loan at Real Betis. A gifted ball-playing centre-back who came through the youth ranks at Espanyol before Michael Laudrup brought him to South Wales, Amat was never really a nailed-on starter at the Liberty Stadium. He suffered a couple of nasty injuries during the 2014-15 season, which was only his 2nd with the Swans, and he never registered more than 17 Premier League appearances in a single season. Now aged 30, Amat has played for Rayo Vallecano in Spain and Eupen in Belgium since leaving Swansea, and in 2022, he joined Johor Darul Ta'zim, who are the dominant force within Malaysian football. It was also in 2022 that Amat, who previously made almost 40 appearances for Spain at youth team level and won 3 caps for the unofficial Catalonia national team, accepted a call-up from Indonesia, making him the first player in this 11 who is an actual Indonesian international. Capped 4 times to date, Amat qualifies to represent Indonesia by virtue of one of his grandmothers. Centre-back, Pascal Struijk. Another versatile defender, capable of playing as either a left-back or as a centre-back, that makes Pascal Struijk the perfect candidate on the left side of a back 3 in my 11. Bringing some much-needed youthful zeal to a very experienced backline, Struijk is only 23 years old. Signed by Leeds after his youth team contract expired at Ajax, Struijk was born in Belgium but grew up in the Netherlands, and I believe I'm right in saying that he would technically now be eligible to represent any of Belgium, the Netherlands, England or Indonesia. Currently sidelined with concussion, Struijk has the third most successful tackles of any player in the Premier League this season, and he would be eligible to represent Indonesia by virtue of both of his paternal grandparents having been born in what was then the Dutch East Indies. So far, Struijk's only international football has come for the Netherlands, with whom he has made 3 under-17 appearances, all coming back in 2016. Right wing back, Sandy Walsh. An easy inclusion in this 11. What you really need in a wing back is speed and stamina, and Sandy Walsh brings both to our right flank in abundance. Primarily a right back, but capable of playing anywhere in defence or at wing back, just like Mark van der Marel, I am unaware of any players in world football at this moment in time who are eligible to represent more national teams than Sandy Walsh. By virtue of his remarkably cosmopolitan ancestry, combined with the fact that he was born in Belgium, Walsh is eligible to represent Belgium, England, Ireland, Switzerland, the Netherlands, Indonesia, South Africa, or Somalia. There have been UN meetings in which fewer nations than that were represented. At the age of 14, Walsh began representing the Netherlands at under 15 level, and he continued representing the Orange at every age group up to the under 20s in 2014. In November 2022 though, Walsh reportedly acquired Indonesian citizenship, possibly indicating a future switch of allegiance to the Asian national team. Formerly of Genk and Zulte Waregem, Walsh has only ever played domestically in Belgium, and he has been contracted to Mechelen since 2020. Left wing back, Navarone 4. Not quite a household name, Navarone 4 is another former Netherlands U-Team international who represented his country from under 19 to under 21 level, but is also eligible to represent Indonesia. Obviously, otherwise he wouldn't be in this 11. Now aged 31, 4 came through the youth ranks at NEC, where he starred for 5 seasons before joining Vitesse. Following a few years outside of the Netherlands, during which time he played in the United Arab Emirates, Cyprus, and Latvia, 4 returned in the January just gone, joining last-placed Eredivisie side Camber. Horrendously out of position in this 11, 4's favourite position is in attacking midfield, but he is often played out wide. He has some of the attributes required to make a semi-effective wing-back, and to be totally honest with you, I'm not exactly spoilt for choice. Defensive midfield, Jairo Riedewald. One of the problems with this 11 is not just that there aren't a whole host of world-class potential Indonesian players just queuing up for selection, it's also that most of the strongest candidates happen to play in the same position. That position, to be specific, is either as a 6 or as an 8, hence why I have shoehorned in 4 of them, and whilst they are largely interchangeable, as the deepest of the quartet, I have opted for Jairo Riedewald. A graduate of the outstanding youth ranks at Ajax, Riedewald went on to play almost a century of appearances at the Johan Cruyff Arena before Frank de Boer took him with him to Crystal Palace. De Boer didn't last long, being kind there, but Riedewald is still at Palace, where he has rarely been a first-team regular and has racked up just 83 appearances in all competitions over 5.5 seasons in total. Still, capped 3 times by the Netherlands, all of which came in 2015, and still aged only 26, Riedewald has to feature in this 11, eligible to represent both Suriname through his father and Indonesia through his mother. Central midfield, Radja Nainggolan. Once the poster boy of footballers of Indonesian descent, Radja Nainggolan was undoubtedly the best player in this 11 at his peak, but he is 34 years old now, and he has been a bit of a train wreck at times over the last few years. Not enough of a train wreck to miss out entirely, Nainggolan was once a world-class ball-winning or box-to-box midfielder, capable of dominating almost any midfielder on the planet in a midfield battle at his very best. a 4-time Serie A Team of the Season inclusion, Nainggolan won Roma's Player of the Season award as the club finished as Serie A runners-up in the 2016-17 season, before making a big money move to Inter Milan. It was at that point that things started to go downhill for Nainggolan, as he was loaned out, had his contract terminated, and was subsequently suspended by Royal Antwerp for disciplinary reasons. Recently signed by relegation-threatened Serie B side Spal, Nainggolan was eligible to represent either Belgium or Indonesia through his father, but he chose the former, with whom he won 30 caps in a very competitive midfield between the years 2009 and 2018. Central midfield, Dries Vertooy. Not as big of a name as Radja Nainggolan, literally in fact. At this moment in time though, you could argue that he would be just as useful to a potential Indonesian national team. Born in Morocco, Vertooy made 24 appearances for the country's under-23 team, but it wasn't until the age of 31, in 2021, that he won his first senior caps for the 2022 World Cup semi-finalists. A well-rounded midfield playmaker, with good technical abilities and a dangerous long shot, Vertooy earned a youth team contract at Le Havre in France after winning a reality TV show in which that was the prize as a 16-year-old, and he went on to make more than 20 appearances in the club's first team. Based in the Middle East for the past decade, Vertooy has played in the top flights of Qatari, Emirati, and Saudi football, and he joined Al Marqiya in the Qatar Stars League in 2022. Attacking midfield, Massimo Luongo. The most advanced of my midfield quartet, though I will reiterate that they are largely interchangeable, many of you will be well aware of the fact that Massimo Luongo is not a number 10. At his happiest battling for possession of the ball in the middle of the park, and no stranger to being deputised in defensive midfield, I have seen Luongo score the odd thunderbolt, hence why he is the furthest forward of my 4 central or defensive midfielders. Born in Sydney, Luongo's father is of Italian descent, hence the name, meanwhile his mother's family hail from Indonesia. Luongo chose to represent the nation of his birth in 2014, and he has since won 43 caps for the Socceroos, most notably scoring a crucial goal in the final and being named in the team of the tournament as Australia won the 2015 Asian Cup. A graduate of the Tottenham Hotspur youth ranks, Luongo has spent the bulk of his career playing in the Championship, most notably for Queen's Park Rangers, but in January 2023, he joined League One promotion hopefuls Ipswich Town. Centre forward, Cristiano Ronaldo. Born on the island of Madeira, Cristiano Ronaldo has become the all-time leading goalscorer in the entire history of men's international football with Portugal, with whom he has scored 118 goals from 196 caps, but it could all have been very different. Ronaldo's paternal grandfather was a Hindu Swami in the province of Bali at the end of the Dutch colonial era, which means that Ronaldo would have been eligible to represent Indonesia. No, not really. I just made all of that up. Ronaldo could never have played for Indonesia. I just put him in the thumbnail regardless. It is called clickbait, and no, I am not a fan of it either, but there aren't 3 Indonesian footballers or potential Indonesian footballers good enough or with proper transparent images capable of being used in the thumbnail of a YouTube video. Look, it was either doing that or denying Arzi of a 2-year dream of finally seeing this video. So, you can judge me all you like, but you'd have to have a heart of stone to contemplate doing the alternative. Right, let's see who actually completes our 11 instead of the highest scoring male international footballer of all time. I'm sure they'll be just as good. Centre forward, Ezra Walian. Well, would you look at that? Almost as accomplished as Cristiano Ronaldo, and a just as capable replacement, I'm sure all of you would agree, Ezra Walian is one of the greatest footballers of all time. Yet to win his first Ballon d'Or, let alone his 5th, give the lad some time since Walian is still only 25. Formerly of the Ajax youth ranks, Wallian played for young Ajax but never the Ajax first team, and he left the Netherlands to move to Indonesia in 2019. Born in Amsterdam to a Dutch mother and an Indonesian father, Wallian currently plays for Persib Bandung, where he has bagged 5 goals in 47 games to date. The weakest inclusion in this 11, if we are being honest, and only the second actual Indonesian international after Jordi Amat, Wallian began representing Indonesia in 2017, having previously played for the Netherlands at under 16 and under 17 level. The reality is that there are no good strikers, at least as far as I can tell, who could ever have represented Indonesia, and Wallian himself isn't even an out-and-out centre forward. Capable of playing as a 10 or on the right, as well as up front, he has scored 3 goals from 9 caps for Indonesia to date, meaning that he only has 116 more goals to score before he breaks Cristiano Ronaldo's record. Go on, Ezra lad. That is it for today's video. Unlike usual, I won't be naming any substitutes because they're not strong enough. It just probably wouldn't be that interesting. Nonetheless, I hope that you enjoyed it. I found the 11 itself quite interesting, and I especially hope that Ozzy enjoyed it. Thank you all very much, as ever, for watching. Hit the like button if you did indeed enjoy it, or just, just happy to see Ozzy's dream realised. Who knows what video he will request in the comments now. I'm sure you're all waiting with bated breath. But yeah, thank you all very much. Like, comment, whatever, and make sure you are subscribed to both this channel and my backup channel, both of which should be on your screens now, and turn on notifications if you, want to actually know when I've uploaded a video. And you can also find me on either Twitter or Instagram via the username @HITC Sevens on both, should you wish to do so.